My life was a total mess before I met Christ. It was going nowhere and hopeless. I was 12 years old. I had been raped by two boys that went to my school, and they were older than me. And while that was going on, I had stupidly accepted a ride home from school from a party or something that we'd done. And they took me out to a cemetery and they raped me. And the whole time they were doing this, I kept praying to God. I kept saying the Lord's Prayer because I thought He would stop this. First of all, I thought God had abandoned me. I was sure He had, that He didn't love me. And so in turn, I didn't love Him back. But after that, I found that drinking covered some of that up, that I didn't hurt as bad if I was drunk. And so I started drinking at age 12, and then I went into some drugs, and I just pretty much stayed drunk for a long period in my life, and angry with God. I was so angry with Him that I was a child. I recognized that I was a child, and I thought that He should have protected me. And in turn, I felt like I would punish Him, but I ended up punishing myself because I pushed Him away from me. It was a Sunday morning, and I got up early, and I did what I always do, or would have done on Sunday morning. I put on my bathing suit, a little bikini. I got ready to go to the beach, packed up my lunch, got the car ready, went out, got in the car, and I sat there for a minute before I started to crank it up, and I thought, I can't go. And I turned around, I went back inside the house, I changed my clothes, I put on a skirt and a blouse, and I went looking for the closest church. And I don't know what had happened to me. That Sunday, they had just started a week of revival. And so I attended that service. And then the next night, I went back and I attended the next night's service. And by then, I think the pastor and the evangelist, who was a visitor, could tell that something was happening with me. And so the following night, they came to visit me. And they told me all about the fact that Jesus loved me and that Jesus wanted me with Him in heaven. And so they literally gave me what they called the plan of salvation. And I sat there and I was very nice and I said, thank you very much and good night. I just didn't respond to them. And so all the next day I thought about what they had told me. And I think I knew in my heart that it couldn't, whatever was going on with me, the response could not come from these two men. It couldn't come from anybody else. It was going to have to come from my heart. And so right at the end of this evangelist preaching, he got up and gave what he called an altar call, and he invited me to respond to Jesus, to the fact that Jesus had died for me and paid the price for my sins. And I stood up with everybody else and I started singing, and I could not get out of that aisle fast enough. I trampled on the three people between me and the aisle, and I ran down front, and the pastor was there, and he looked at me. I think he was surprised. I think he'd given up on me. And he put his arms around me, and we just stood with our heads bowed. And I told him, I said, I want this. I want this love. I want this forgiveness. I want what you're talking about. And we said this, what he called the sinner's prayer, that I admitted that I was a sinner and that I could not work my way into heaven, and that I believed that Jesus had paid that price for me, and that I confessed that He was Lord in my life. And at that point, it was amazing. My whole life turned around. It just did a 180-degree turn. And so naturally I started going to that church, and after I had gone forward, they told me about being baptized. And I said, yes, I wanted to do that. When he laid me back over in the water, and when I came up, it was the most amazing thing that I knew at that point that I had been dead all those years, that I thought that I was really living it up, and I had been dead, and I was raised up from that death and alive again. And that was an awesome day. That whole week was a turnaround for me in my life.